Hi, everyone. This is Justin Stofron, and welcome to another edition of You're Probably Getting Screwed interviews. I'm here with Ron Knox this week. Really excited to talk small businesses with you, Ron. Ron, why don't you introduce yourself for folks?
Sure. Thanks, Justin. I'm Ron Knox. I'm a senior researcher and a policy advocate at the Institute for Local Self Reliance. We are a 50-year-old advocacy and research organization that fights for strong, independent, and economically democratic communities. We fight for equity everywhere. And the main thing I do is fight monopolies. So happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, and that's why I'm excited to have you on here. So, I wanted to kind of have a conversation about a couple of, I guess, different couple of different recent articles that have implicated the work that your organization does. I wanted to start, in this week's newsletter. I wrote a little bit about the recent Washington Post article on the declining share of Americans that work at small businesses. And then also some of the sort of responses from certain prominent economic thinkers who were like, that's great. No worries. This is a positive development. And so I'm curious, just from your perspective, like, why should people care about that declining share? If we all work for larger firms, so be it.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, people should care because small businesses make our communities what they are, right? Small businesses make places more than just some, bedroom community for commuters to drive to some nameless office or our communities are more than just a Walmart off of an exit ramp off of a highway, right? Our communities are places where we live and work, hopefully work, and places where we build identity and community and all of those things, make us stronger. And small businesses are integral to all of that stuff. The small businesses that live on our corners and our downtowns, whether that quote unquote downtown is the main drag in a small town, or whether it's your local commercial district where you've got your hardware store and your local grocer and your bookstore and your pharmacy. These are places that make community, and that allow us to ultimately control our own destinies as people in communities. So small businesses are crucial to all of that.
I'm wondering, that's something I tried to hit on just a little bit in the piece I wrote, but really didn't do it justice. But that idea that um, we can have a discussion about a variety of different economic benefits, but like that idea of communities having control and autonomy and power rooted in them. I think I was really struck a couple years back here in Minnesota. The State History Center had an exhibit on the suffrage movement, and uh, the number of stories and the number of prominent women that were business owners in that movement was something that really I didn't realize at first, and really struck me. So I'm wondering if yeah, you just want to elaborate a little bit on that, like the power in community that small businesses can provide.
Sure. I mean, I can talk about the power in community. I don't want to ignore the economic benefits because there are real economic benefits, right? Time and again, small businesses, independent businesses, and communities show themselves to be, better providers of whatever service or good it is than their much larger, nameless, faceless, out of town corporate, equivalent. You think about like the, local independent pharmacies that provide delivery services to their customers who can't get out of the house, who fight tooth and nail to keep costs low for the folks who live right around them. And that's a crucial economic benefit, right? You think of the majority Black owned small business communities that existed in in Black and brown neighborhoods all over this country, and the way that they helped to build wealth and stability and economic benefit for the folks in those communities. So the economic benefits are real, but so is that power that you're talking about. So is that local control. Ultimately, small businesses that are in your communities are simply holding up a mirror to the communities that are around them. That means when you go into your locally owned independent supermarket, the food and the goods that are in there that are on those shelves are a reflection of the people that live around them. They speak to the cultural values, right? They speak to all of that kind of that the fabric, the material that makes up a community. Small businesses reflect that, and that's something that you just simply do not get when you walk into your Walmart or your Target or your CVS. These are they fill the shelves with whatever stuff their huge suppliers provide them and whatever, and the experience is the same everywhere. What you get from the small business is the culture, is the reflection of local values, and that stuff just can't be replicated. And it matters, I think just as much as the economic benefits to a community matter.
Yeah, well, you've heard me talk about, Ron, that one of the things I often hear from in my day job with Farmers Union from members is they talk about consolidation in terms of their communities and the loss of their local hardware store, their local grocery store, and what that's meant to their rural community. So pivoting a little bit, one of the sort of causes of this decline, and your organization did some really great data work that we've tried to highlight a couple of times in the newsletter around the specifically the decline of independent grocers, has to do with lack of enforcement of the Robinson-Patman Act. And you wrote a recent piece in The Nation called "Can Fairness Fix the U.S. Economy?" following the FTC's first Robinson-Patman lawsuit in a couple of decades. Just to real quick set the scene, can you give sort of the minute elevator pitch of what the Robinson-Patman Act does?
Sure. The Robinson-Patman Act, essentially says that if you are a supplier of goods to multiple different wholesalers or retailers, you have to provide the same goods in the same quantities at the same price. That's it. So you have to charge the exact same price, or you have to ask for the exact same price from your small independent retailer as you do your huge box stores, so long as they're both buying goods in a truckload or a pallet load or whatever the case might be. That's it. It's a simple law about economic fairness.
Great. And then what in this particular case it was filed, and then there was another one before the Chair Khan's tenure ended. But this one on Southern Glazers, what's sort of at the heart of that case?
Well, at the heart of that case, Southern Glazers is the largest supplier of wine and spirits in America. I think the FTC said 1 out of every 3 bottles of wine or spirits in America comes from Southern Glazers. And allegedly, Southern Glazers was offering much more favorable pricing and terms to its largest customers, its largest retail customers. This includes Total Wine and Spirits, which is a big national brand, like retail brand, than it did for independent mom and pop shops and smaller grocers that stock wine and spirits on their shelves. So that's it. It was you read the complaint, and as far as the law goes, it was pretty cut and dry. That fairness that the Robinson-Patman Act demands in the retail economy was not happening because Southern Glazers was simply being unfair in its pricing, allegedly, according to the lawsuit.
And then there's the second lawsuit was against Pepsi. Is that correct?
That's correct. PepsiCo. Yep. And the second lawsuit essentially said the same thing. The second lawsuit was interesting because embedded in that second lawsuit is the thing that we really hear about and I think we see throughout the economy, kind of common sense stuff, that the biggest purchasers of goods in our economy, this is like the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Targets, actually have a big influence on this question of fairness because they have the power to say to their suppliers, you're going to give us a better deal than the deal that you give to the smaller guy down the street. That is something that I think is it's pretty common sense. It's been well documented over and over, both in the media and in different lawsuits. The FTC sued PepsiCo, but within that lawsuit, it said, "Look, PepsiCo isn't being fair. They're not giving the same deals on drinks and chips and everything else that PepsiCo sells. Huge conglomerate, right?" And it's doing that at times at the behest of its very largest customer. The lawsuit did not name, or it was redacted and did not say what the very largest customer was, but we know that it's Walmart. So you see this kind of co-conspirator thing happening between the largest suppliers, the largest retailers, essentially demanding or creating this kind of unfairness in the retail economy.
So what, we're now in the midst of, I don't know, I guess putting it lightly, the turmoil at a federal level with the Trump administration. But do you have thoughts or feelings on these particular Robinson Patman cases and the eventual new makeup of the FTC once everyone's confirmed and in place?
I mean, I have a lot of hope, is what I have, right? I have hope that that the new Chair Ferguson of the FTC, he has said in various ways that he broadly supports the goals of the Robinson Patman Act. We hope that means that these very important cases are going to not only be maintained, but are going to be prosecuted vigorously. And we hope that there are more of these kinds of cases coming down the line in parts of the economy where this kind of abuse is found. We also hope that so there's a person named Mark Mador who was nominated to the Federal Trade Commission. Long been a supporter of the Robinson Patman Act and the aims of the Robinson Patman Act. Namely economic fairness throughout the retail economy. He is having his Senate confirmation hearing next week as we record this. So that's really exciting. And we think that he'll be a great champion of this as well. And we know that Commissioner Alvaro Bedoya is the flag bearer for fairness as the stated goal of antitrust. So hopefully this newfound momentum at the FTC will continue with enforcement of the Robinson Patman Act. That's my hope.
Well, great, and I will recommend to everyone, if you haven't been to ILSR's website, make sure to check that out. They've got all sorts of resources on how states and at the local level and even at the federal level can tackle these issues. Ron, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. Always great to talk with you.
Absolutely.